joined right now on RealAgriculture.com by Harry Siemens of SiemensSays.com. Welcome today, Harry.
It's always a pleasure. I just had a walk outside. It's great weather. We got a little snow, but with +6 and +5 for the next 2 or 3 days, that snow is going to be gone.
Well,
Great.
in Lethbridge today, it's going to blow 100 kilometers an hour. So,
Oh, my.
yeah. Anyway, last Friday, WTO ruled in favor of Canada on cool. What were your thoughts on that?
There's two things. There's two separate issues. Number one, they didn't rule on the legislation and the law itself because that's kind of in stone until the Congress changes it. What they ruled on was that they're treating, regarding regulations and all those kinds of things, promotions and so forth, they're treating Canadians and the Mexicans unfairly and illegally because they're not treating them the same as cattle and hogs coming from producers within the United States. That was the big ruling. That was the big win for Canada because that's what's been so tough on hog producers and cattle producers. To give you an example, Boyd Penner, president of Southeast Marketing, back in the height of the hog industry, he was exporting on behalf of other people, probably 700,000 pigs a year. Well, he's down to about 3 or 5 thousand a week, and it's pretty tough. But he told me that he's feeding cattle in the United States over the last 3 or 4 years, and each year they've been discounted 3 to 4 cents when he brings them to market just because they are Canadian. That's where the discrimination is taking place.
So have you talked to any hog producers since last Friday? What is their main, how did they feel about it?
Their main thing about this is, number one, finally, we've got some action on this one, but number two, when is it actually going to take place? Because as Steve Meyer from Paragon Economics told me, he says, it's going to take 6 to 8 months because the Americans will most likely appeal. Secondly, then they have a year to comply. So we're looking at 2 years. But you know what? It's, Christmas comes sometimes a lot quicker than we think. And,
Right.
and we use the expression, well, Christmas is coming too, right? So we're hoping that things will change. I guess Minister Ritz and Minister Fast, both of them hoping that they can do some negotiating with the Americans because on this case, 2/3 of the livestock producers in the United States are our allies. They recognize the fact that we need trade going between these two countries. And as Boyd Penner told me, and he's worked with the Packers for a long time, he says nothing will change until the Packers decide to take Canadian animals. The other caveat here, that is, right now, Maple Leaf in Manitoba has a monopoly. Before, producers could go south with their hogs, right, and could get a good market. But since cool, they haven't been able to. So Maple Leaf has that monopoly. And, of course, High Life at Neepawa, they've got a plant, and they'll be processing 1.4 million in April. But they're basically raising them themselves.
Yeah, we hear a lot. People say there's no WTO has no teeth. It has no value. It's passé. Do you think this decision kind of puts some renewed faith in the WTO for Canadian farmers and ranchers?
I think it does because the WTO still is in operation. There are still regulations and laws, and this was a panel that unanimously came in the favor of Canada and the United States. And because, as I said, we have those allies in the U.S. Working on our behalf, this thing could get done a little sooner. But as you know, the Congress, and Steve Meyer told me this, the Congress has far more things to be concerned about in the U.S. than cool.
Yeah, well, that's what they were saying. That's what they were saying about RCAF. RCAF has been relatively quiet on this issue, mainly because they're so preoccupied with GIPSA.
Right, and that's a big issue for them. And so, let's hope against hope, Sean, that we're going to be able to negotiate something that will that will ease the pressure, that maybe a few more of those plants in the United States will say, you know what, maybe down the road things will change and we can start to take. But right now, you know what, basically 1 or 2 days here or there are designated for Canadian processing just because they're running short of what they think the demand is.
We've still got Canadian cattle going south to be slaughtered. Basically, was the hogs just completely shut off?
almost completely shut off. I think there's one plant that basically takes hogs 1 or 2 days here, maybe a Saturday, maybe an extra day here when they feel they need the demand. But for the most part, the hogs that keep going south are basically niche markets. And when I talked about Boyd Penner still shipping 3 to 5,000 pigs a week south, the majority of those are isoweans, weanlings, and some feeder pigs. And so finishing hogs, very, very few that are going south unless you have a niche market of some kind.
Jerry Ritz is on a real streak here.
Jerry Ritz, I heard him on a news conference today out of the Canada Grains Council National Grains Forum in Symposium in Ottawa. And, he even sounded a little humble today. I'm not sure why. But, he had some questions from the people in the grain trade industry. And he actually took some good time. And I'm not using this as a negative because he's had his hands full. But, yeah, this one is. Ed Fast took the lead on it, who's the trade minister, but Ritz was right there beside him.
Good. Kate, well, thank you very much, Harry, and we will definitely talk to you again in the future.
Thank you very much and have a great day.